The world of Formula One is buzzing with anticipation as the start of the 2023 season draws near. While some teams are brimming with confidence and high expectations, one team finds itself in the eye of the storm: McLaren. As the Formula One teams geared up for the start of the 2023 season, there was a palpable sense of excitement in the air. The much-anticipated launches of the new cars were eagerly awaited by fans and experts alike, with each team hoping to make a strong first impression. However, McLaren's launch was notable for its lack of fanfare, with team principal Andrea Stella expressing dissatisfaction with the car's specification. This unusual admission left many wondering if McLaren was deliberately managing expectations or if there were deeper issues with the car's design. As testing got underway in Bahrain, the reason for Stella's candid remarks became painfully clear. The McLaren car appeared to be struggling. Its lap times were not stellar, and out on the track, the car appeared laboured, not braking and turning in as well as others, and leaving Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri having to wait much later than their rivals to get back on power. Star driver Lando Norris, who has been waiting for years to get a car that can compete at the front, finished the day with a disappointing 11th fastest time. The frustration was palpable as Norris was seen punching a wall in frustration, a clear sign of the disappointment and pressure he is feeling heading into the upcoming season. F1 reporter Will Buxton said, "I actually saw him leave the garage and walk to the little driver's room on the side, and very unlike Lando, he actually punched the flimsy makeshift wall as he walked through. That little bit of frustration, you can tell it's not quite right." Meanwhile, rookie Oscar Piastri had his own challenges to contend with as he struggled to get to grips with the car and suffered a scary moment when he spun out of control and performed a 360 spin. There were more issues for McLaren later in testing as Piastri had to pull into the garage after 25 laps as the team worked on fixing what they described as a minor issue with the front winglets. That was a huge disappointment for both men. Norris has already waited 4 seasons for the team to give him a car with which to get into the fight at the front on a regular basis, while Piastri is obviously keen to make an immediate impact and at the very least beat the Alpines. The testing event finished with McLaren completing the fewest number of laps, 312. AlphaTauri topped the list with 456 completed laps. As the dust settled on a disappointing testing session for McLaren, CEO Zak Brown took to the press conference to offer some candid insight into the team's struggles. He didn't mince words, explaining that the team had simply missed key development targets, which had resulted in a car that was not up to par with their rivals. This kind of honesty is rare in the world of F1, but it's a refreshing change from the usual PR spin that teams tend to offer. Later that day, team principal Andrea Stella followed up with more details on exactly what Brown meant by missed targets. He said, "Last year, we had some clear objectives in terms of development. They had to do with aerodynamic efficiency, some development related to the exploitation of the tyres, and also some objectives to improve the balance. The reality is that most of these objectives have actually been met, but the objective in terms of aerodynamic efficiency of the car, that's the one where we are still shy of what our target was. Aerodynamic efficiency is the lifeblood of modern Formula One, and teams spend millions of dollars each year trying to perfect it. However, poor aerodynamic efficiency can be a nightmare for a team, as it can lead to a car that is slow in the corners and on the straights. The biggest issue with the draggy car is the compromises that it forces a team to make. To compensate for the increased drag on the straights, teams have to reduce wing angles, which in turn reduces downforce in the corners. This means that the car becomes harder to drive in the corners as the driver has to brake earlier and take turns at slower speeds. McLaren finds itself trapped in this spiral of negativity right now, with a car it knows can theoretically be better around corners. However, if it went in that direction, it would actually be slower around the lap because of time lost on the straights. It's worth noting that it's still early days in the season, and McLaren has a history of turning things around mid-season. In 2020, they started the season struggling but managed to come back stronger in the second half of the year, securing 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship. Additionally, the team has some of the brightest young talents on the grid, with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri showing impressive skills and potential. What is especially important to understand about McLaren's situation is that where it is now is not where it will be all season. As it is highly effective in a holding pattern, it is certainly not facing the kind of nightmare that many teams have been through in the past, of turning up at the first test confident in what it's done, only then to find itself falling flat on its face. The complexities and timescales involved in F1 mean that such late shocks often take weeks and even months to recover from, as teams have to spend a great deal of time getting to the bottom of just what has gone wrong. McLaren's situation is different, having known for a while that it has been on the incorrect path. McLaren is taking a deliberate approach in their pursuit of performance gains. The team has identified a different development direction that could potentially give them a competitive edge, and they've been diligently working on bringing this idea to fruition in the wind tunnel. The team has been pushing themselves to the limit to create new parts that could unlock the full potential of this new approach. However, McLaren is not one to rush things. They understand that rushing production could lead to costly mistakes, and they're taking the time to ensure that everything is just right before giving the green light. McLaren is looking ahead to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix as a potential window of opportunity to unveil their new package. By biding their time and putting in the necessary work, the team hopes to deliver a performance that will leave their rivals green with envy. Stella pointed out about the MCL60, I wouldn't call it a problem. In F1, the material you have right now trackside is material you had 2 or 3 months ago in development. So the good news is that we have good development streams going on, and they will land trackside in some weeks. So that's why you see me not as necessarily the most optimistic now, but rather more optimistic for what's coming in the season. McLaren's fortunes in the upcoming season won't be determined by their performance in Bahrain alone. The true test will be how much of a leap they make once their key upgrade is implemented. The anticipation is palpable, and McLaren's team principal Andrea Stella is confident that this upgrade will provide a significant boost to their performance. While some may be quick to write off McLaren's chances, Stella remains steadfast in his belief that all is not lost for the team. He knows that the upcoming upgrade could be a game changer, and it's just a matter of time before McLaren can show the world what they're truly capable of. He said, there's a couple of components where we see that there's quite a bit of lap time sensitivity. I can't say what they are, and it will not necessarily look like a completely different car, but some of the changes seem to make a significant difference for aerodynamic efficiency. Brown says the team has clear aspirations to be top 4 by the end of the season, but admits the team will need to pick up the pace if it wants to achieve that goal. He said, we want to be in the top 4 by the end of the year. Last year was a bit disappointing. Our aspirations are to get back to the front, and we know that that will take a bit more time. But we've got all the technology infrastructure. It's either in or going to be pretty much completed this year, so that's quite exciting. We have some good developments coming, but so does every other single team in F1, so we need to pick up the pace. For a man who chose his words so carefully at the launch, his talk of a significant step should not be underestimated. What's your thought about the situation in McLaren? Do you see them getting back on track as the season progresses? Let us know in the comment section below.